Fuck, you no go do it like this, so I know your friend don't like my beat, but you for don't say this kind thing, baby. Just let me know if you know what I do again. I don't go disturb you, I don't go stress you.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon from Lagos, Nigeria. If you can hear me, please drop a message in the chat box letting me know you can hear me so that I'm certain that we are all good on this session. Hi, Tunde. I see you already. Hi. Thank you for being a part of this. Can I have messages dropping in the chat box letting me know you can hear me so I can proceed? Okay, hi Lizzie. Thank you so much for confirming. Thank you, Enoch. Thank you for doing this with us. All right, good afternoon, everyone. It is 12:03 p.m. in Lagos, Nigeria. And my name is Adeshola Ajibare. I'm going to be your host for this session. You are very welcome to the Utiva Business Network Town Hall session, where we'll be discussing talent recruitment, how to address talent development from the get-go. All right, like I said earlier, we're addressing talent development from the start, from the get-go. Like, how does this typically work from the beginning of, basically, from the ground basics. And that's what we'll be doing in this session. Okay, like I said earlier, my name is Adeshola Ajibare, popularly known as Dash. My colleagues call me Dash, I don't know why. And I function as a project manager at Utiva, where I lead all things project, from conceptualization to effective execution. That's what I do at Utiva. And I am your humble host for this session. All right, so what I would have us do before we proceed, go ahead to see what we have on our agenda for today. I just want us to do something, just like you know who I am. You know that my nickname is Dish, yeah. And you know that my first name is Adeshola. I'd like us to do that as well. All I need you to do is just drop a message in the chat box, letting me know what your first name is, what you currently do, and where you're joining this session from. So I'm going to take the lead. My name is Deshola. I'm in the ed tech space as a project manager, and I'm joining this session from Lagos, Nigeria. All right, so I have that in the chat box. Can I have people dropping this in the chat box now? Can I see you guys? Can I get to meet everyone and single person on this call? I need to know where you're calling in from, what you currently do, like what industry do you function in? I know we majorly have like HR and talent acquisition folks on this call, but of course, I'm sure that we have other people here as well. So I see Sonia. Hi, Sonia. Sonia is my colleague. She's in the ed tech space as well. She does tech sales. So she's one of those guys that get people to pay, and stuff. I see Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie, learning and development specialist from Ireland. Thank you so much for joining the call, Stephanie. Can I have other messages rolling in? Let's do that in the next 1 to 2 minutes. Hi, Lizzie. My first responder on the call, HR officer at Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you for joining in, Lizzie. Hi, Tobiloba, IT consulting, also a HR manager in Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you for being a part of this session. Can I have this messages rolling in? I have well over 20 people on this call, and I know that people will still be joining as we go along. So please drop a message in the chat box, letting me know what your first name is, what you currently do, and where you're joining in from. I see Winnie. Hi, Winnie, HR officer from Kenya, all the way from African nation. Thank you so much for joining, Winnie. I see Chibuzo, head of operations at Great Money and a fintech establishment. Thank you so much. I see Shegun, a field trainer, joining in from Ibadan. Thank you for joining in. I see Eyimofe, I see Tobiloba, I see Yoel, I see Shegun, I see Adetayo. Thank you for joining in. All right, can we have those rolling in? Dolapo, I see you. Thank you for being a part of this session. Let's have those rolling in. Let me get to meet you as we go along. I see Jackie from Kenya as well. Great, thank you for joining us. Hi, Zara, social media manager in Lagos. Thank you for joining this session. Okay. Let's keep up this energy. Let's keep up with this energy. All right, so I'm just going to be running you through what we have planned for today. Like I said earlier, we'll be addressing talent development from the get-go. And what we're going to be doing right here, we're just going to have our partnership lead at Utiva come up to talk a little about Utiva and, of course, what the Utiva Business Network is about. I mean, you've heard UBN, Utiva Business Network. What essentially is this about? We're also going to have a very special guest come on board to give us a short keynote speech. And then we have fantastic guests on this call where we'll just move right into the panel session and we'll be discussing effective approaches to talent development, what skills are critical to the success of a technical team, how organizations can enhance the capacity of their technical teams and be primed for success. How do you recruit this talent and how do you retain them? I mean, it's not enough for you to get them into your company. How do you get them to stay and then build with you to that extent that you want them to build to? Hi, Franca, I see you on the call. Thank you for joining. And of course, we're going to give some time to the audience to ask questions, questions that we might not have covered in the panel session. We have the opportunity to ask all of our amazing guests this question. And then, of course, I'm going to have our partnership lead come back to talk about the Utiva training program. All right, that's what we have in stock for you today. Stay tuned, do not go anywhere. All right, without further ado, I'm just going to have Enoch come on board. Mic check, Enoch. Do I have Enoch on the call?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Enoch.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for taking our time to join us on today's session. We've facilitated sessions like this for the past, I think this will be our 5th edition of this session. And we just have one goal in mind: to create support, for the network of businesses and organizations that want to win with digital transformation. So I'll start by introducing Utiva. Utiva to businesses and partnering organizations. Utiva is a one-stop shop for everything technical talent, from acquisition to development to training. And we've spent the past few years building the largest tech academy with a network of over 150,000 tech enthusiasts, and have the largest schools in data analytics, AI, software development, product management, product design, cybersecurity, cloud computing. Basically, we like to see ourselves as the one-stop shop for everything technology education as well. And the Utiva Business Network, we designed the Utiva Business Network with just one goal in mind. We wanted to create a system that allows us to support organizations, and businesses, with their digital transformation goals and strategies, but on the talent side, we really understand how the landscape for engaging technical talents or driving our digital transformation strategies with whether it's an approach of upskilling the current staffs that you have or employing an entire technical team to build products, the entire process of adopting new tools, whatever would be the support that was needed for any business, whether you're a startup or a fully established traditional institution, a traditional organization. Utiva wants to create a system that allows you to have that smooth transition. And that's why we designed UBN, the Utiva Business Network. Currently, we actively have relationships with about 105 partners, and with these partners, we've either facilitated master classes for the entire staff to introduce technical concepts to them, or facilitated with supporting them with pipeline of technical talents to recruit, from various forms of support that we're able to create. Some of them free sessions, some of them, fully paid on sessions. However, we are the partners that ensure that whatever strategy that you have in mind, on the side of talent, you can sleep easy. Now, these conversations that we're having with the UBN Town Hall session is for us to be able to have all stakeholders come together to discuss about issues. Sometimes we speak generally, sometimes we speak on issues, sometimes it's cases that we are addressing. Like today, where we're addressing talent development, we do realize that the landscape for technical skill, technical talents, navigating the waters of technical talents, development, acquisition, is one that is still new to even a lot of us. And so from time to time, we want to discuss about trends. I want to discuss about strategies. We want to discuss about new ways to succeed, whatever strategy we have in mind. So I am definitely looking forward to very, very engaging session. I also want you to know that even if you're so we look forward to seeing what we can create from this session. Thank you all so much. I look forward to a fantastic session. I hand over back to my colleague Adeshola.
All right,
I didn't call
thank you. Funny. All right, thank you for sharing. Thank you for shedding light on what essentially the Utiva Business Network is all about, what we're looking to achieve with this, and what we typically do at Utiva. Okay, so I'm just going to go right ahead and talk to you about our amazing guests on this call. And in no particular order, I have Etienne Midoa Abasi. I hope I pronounced your name properly because I took tutorials on that. I hope I didn't bother your name.
That's perfectly okay. That's fine.
Okay. So Etienne currently functions as the Tech Talent Acquisition Officer at SumUp, and he's had he's had to also function as a talent acquisition consultant for TomTom. He's done global recruitment for cross-border talent. So he sort of popcorn from HR into core tech talent acquisition. And it's so great to have you on the call, Etienne. Thank you for doing this with us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, so our next guest would be Riman Ebariri. This is me asking if I pronounced your name properly again.
Yes,
Did I?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
great. Thank you for joining us. Riman is a talent acquisition manager for Softcom Limited. I'm sure everyone and single person on this call knows Softcom. He's had over 9 years experience in the talent acquisition space. I mean, he's functioned as a talent acquisition lead for ARM Holding Company, that's Asset and Resource Management Holding Company. He's also done talent acquisition as a specialist for Rembrandt Global Solutions, and is on this call with us to help us trash out how to actually address talent development from the get-go. Thank you for joining us, Riman.
Thanks, Desh.
All right. Okay, so next on our list is Oyewale Oyeteju. Oyewale is the co-founder and chief technological officer at Vendays. And he also has had quite some experience in this space. For those that don't know what they do at Vendays, it is an online marketplace for Africa's food service businesses. I mean, with this, food service business owners can digitalize and track and automate their procurement and inventory management processes. I mean, imagine bringing tech into food management, food services, and all of that. That is what they do at this space. And we're so excited to have Oyewale on the call. Mic check, Oyewale. Do we have him on the call? So I have a team member of his on the call. I hope is joining in soon. I want to believe he is.
Yes, hi everyone. Hi, Adeshola.
Hi.
Yeah, he should be joining. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Thank you for a very nice introduction.
Anytime. All right, okay, so and last but not the least on our guest list today is Tunde Kelani. Tunde Kelani is somebody that I've always heard about from time to time, and I'm so excited to have him on the call to be hosting him today in this session. He functions as the VP Growth at Cross Africa. He's also he's a growth specialist. He's also had to function as head of growth at Market Force. And we have him on this call today, discussing alongside all of our other amazing guests on the topic addressing talent development from the start. Hi, Tunde. Mic check, Tunde.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, loud and clear. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for the introduction. I'm glad I'm here. Thank you.
It's great to have you. Okay. All right, I apologize for that breaking transmission. I want to believe we have Aitayo on the call. Now, Aitayo is our strategy lead at Utiva. We like to call him the tech evangelist. Aitayo loves everything technology education. He's very passionate about getting people to get on this skill to ensure that we solve human problems. We solve problems at a large scale. Do we have Aitayo on the call?
Yes, Desholam, I am here. You're trying to box me in the technology education space. I refused.
Aitayo is trying to pivot. He's trying to pivot, but we still need you here.
I refuse to be all this. Your prophecy is very excited about the technology education space, and you are joking. You know? The fintech guys are waiting for. I need to come and make money like these other guys that we have on the team. On the guest list. It's quite a very exciting afternoon here, and I am very happy that if you think about it, I was speaking with the Lagos State government just 2 days ago, and it's interesting that the government is frustrated. Everybody's just frustrated about the brain drain that we're experiencing, as a continent. How do we solve this problem? How do we help organizations to become digitally ready from the talent side of things? Because we are an exciting economy. I mean, think about Africa, 800 million young people, 1.2 billion people. It looks to me like we should really be thriving. However, we are experiencing a very interesting time, and I am believing that the likes of Riemann, Tunde, ASEAN will contribute to this conversation. And the part that really excites me is that this session is recorded and we will share with our larger network, because it's this time of the day that it's just very difficult for people to get out of work and come and join the session. But we will share the recorded version with the other people within our network that are unable to join. I do hope that we'll be able to have a very exciting conversation. Let's make the technology industry on the continent a thriving one, and let's build a continent that everyone can be super proud of. And thank you again for joining, Desh. Thanks for doing this, Enoch. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, guys. I'm done talking.
Aitayo, that's very strange. How come you spent like 2 minutes? I'm very proud of you, Aitayo. Well done.
Because people improve.
Okay. All right. So without wasting any time, I mean, like Aitayo said, we have like most people cannot join the session due to the fact that they're still engrossed with work and whatnot. We'll be sharing it later today, and then people can go on LinkedIn to watch it. So if you have people who you would like to listen to the session afterwards, we would share the link, and then we'll put it out on all our social media platforms, so you can also do a recap. Okay, now why we're here. Like, we're going to go into the panel discussion where we'll be addressing talent development from the start. And I trust and believe that all of our guests are very ready for us. Tunde, Riemann, Essien. I don't know if Oyewale is on the call now. Loretta, is Oyewale here now? Or we just have him, join the conversation as we go along.
Sorry.
Okay.
Hi, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. It's so great to have
Thank
you.
you.
On the call.
Yeah, I would say that we have quite a number of people waiting on the Google link because I also was there a few minutes to 12. So
Google link.
Yes,
so
because I
calendar invite.
I actually saw a Google link on the calendar invite. So I was there. So I then realized that, oh, I should have joined the Zoom link instead.
Oh, apologies for that. I'm going to have my team members have that corrected now and have
No problem.
join the Zoom session. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Thank you so much.
You're
All
welcome.
right, so yeah, we're just going to go right ahead to do this. And I have a couple of questions. I have a whole lot of questions actually before I let out to the audience to ask their questions. And my first question would be for Oyewale actually. So it's great that we have you on the call already. There are like organizations that have, I mean, you're a co-founder and then you have like talents in your company and whatnot and all of that. Can I ask, like, how does your organization ensure that it has a sustainable and healthy pipeline of talent?
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, we can, loud and clear. Please go.
Okay,
go
so
ahead.
I mean, for us as a company, so what we essentially do is number one, we're very clear on a competitive compensation plan for our talents, which is one of the things that interests any talent, to a very large extent. And it also creates FOMO among them. And then secondly, we also ensure that we outsource to recruitment agencies who likely have a talent pool. We work with more than one recruitment agency. And then also thirdly, we also work with referrals from employees. They post vacancies within their social groups. A happy employee, for instance, would happily refer his friends. And, we have seen that happen in Vendis many times, not just in tech department, and then also we ensure that we promote people internally. We promote people across the department through performance appraisals on a consistent basis. We also create redundancy for every critical job function. Ours is such an interesting company, to be honest, because every department work iteratively. What that means is that the output of one department is likely the input of another department. And there is also continuous direct recruitment that we do. Recruitment does not stop. It's not a project for us. It's an operational function that we do on a continuous basis. So with all of this, so far we've done well in maintaining healthy pipeline of talent. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for sharing, Oyewale. So I mean, that brings me to, I mean, you mentioned that you have like a healthy pipeline of these guys. You do like occasional routine check-ins and all of those. And that brings me to this next question. And this question is going to be for Etienne. So like, you've come across several tech talents and all of these things. Obviously, you would have experienced some challenges. So like, what are some of these challenges that you frequently encounter when it comes to recruiting your tech talent? And how well have you managed these challenges so far?
Okay, so thank you very much, Adeshola. Basically, anyone in the tech space, especially for talent acquisition, will tell you the first challenge we do face is the shortage of available talent in the market. So as crazy as it seems that there are a lot of opportunities in tech, there's still not enough talent or demand to meet the opportunities we have out there. So if you're in the tech space and you're recruiting for various jobs or positions, you just find out that there's a shortage of availability in the market. And sometimes there's a lot of constraint as well, right? So sometimes location could be a constraint. So many other things could be a constraint, but there's a shortage of the talent in the market. That's the first thing we see. And the second thing, I think top two we usually see is that the second thing is that there's a lot of competitive offers and competitive salary benefits out there. So you're not the only player. And we always say this, we have this saying that you think your father's farm is the biggest until you go to somebody else's farm, back in Nigeria. So you think that you have the best, but some other company is doing something out there to get in talent, and benefits and remuneration or salary does not have to be just monetary wise. It could be their culture, it could be the way they work, it could be some other things that is very competitive out there. So when you have this competing for talent from various companies out there, and then you have shortage of talents, then you're faced with a very huge challenge on how to fill your pipeline, get a healthy pipeline, or fill positions. How do we tackle these challenges, right? That was the second question. From what we do at SumUp, basically, is that we look at different approach to this challenge, and it will depend on what we're trying to do in terms of our long-term, short-term, and medium-term goals, and in terms of the kind of product or services that we're offering at the time, right? So we'll use different mechanisms to solve this problem. For instance, I'll give an example. Typically, in most organizations, you're doing three things to get talent. You're either building, we call them the 3Bs, right? So you're either building, you're buying, or you're borrowing. That's what most people are doing, right? So you're building, you're buying, you're borrowing. What most organizations do is to buy. So you put up your job advert, or you source, or you push from another company. And what do? You increase benefits. So create something, you make yourself attractive. So you buy the talent over. Some other people would borrow. So that's your ETWs, your freelancers, your contractors, your temporary workers, maybe for 1 year, 2 years, 6 months, depending on the milestone or what projects you're working on at the time. And then you have, after you're buying, you're borrowing, then you have the build. And so the building aspect of this is where I really want to mirror and where we really focus on. And that's where a lot of companies really shy away from, and understandably so, because of the cost in building talent, right? The cost between getting a talent that is raw, fresh from maybe say high school, from university, for instance, refining them and making them viable or better for your space to build the kind of product you need. It takes time, it takes a lot. So a lot of companies do shy away from that. And that's where services like Utiva come in, EduTech and others come in, where they can help us maybe shorten that gap in terms of maybe cost and in terms of time as well. So if we work with EduTech, we work with universities to see how we can build. We also have our building internal process in terms of internships and other things. So while we are looking for experienced guys out there, we are sourcing, we are doing referrals like Wale talked about and other things. We are also building internally. So we have our pipeline just getting healthy and okay, depending on, again, what we're looking at, depending on what we're trying to fill, depending on our long-term and short-term goals. So it's different approach, different strategies for the time being. But basically, this is what we're doing. Everybody's doing. We're building, we're buying, we're borrowing, and it depends on what we're trying to solve at that time. So that's what I would say for now. Thank you.
I like the 3Bs approach, where some people tend to adopt the buying. I mean, obviously, everybody wants to like poach people. They just want to buy you over, like get you to come on their side, and then offer you like juicy opportunities and remunerations and all of those. But then I like that you also mentioned that building is also important to some extent. I mean, for some roles, getting these guys fresh from where they're coming from, like building them. And like you said, that's where Utiva comes in, where we help to provide these guys with the skills that they require to like function in the tech space and like have a sustainable outlook in the tech space. And also to you said borrowing. I didn't quite get the entirety of borrowing. Like, how does borrowing work? Is it that you have people come from company, or people that are working like 2 jobs or whatnot? Like, what is that? Like, what's the intricacies of that?
Okay, so borrowing basically are your temporary workers. They're temporal, they're not permanent staff. So your contractors, right? So, or maybe you use agencies. Some people would use agencies. I don't know if for us and previous companies I've worked with, so we had staff who were like permanent, and we had agency guys who would work on a project, for instance. Maybe we want to build something, maybe we are short on staff, or our deadline based on our clients is coming close, so we just get someone. So you're basically borrowing these talents. These talents you borrow are just for a short period of time. They have a specific goal at hand, and once they meet your milestone, they meet their goals, you let them go. So they're not your staff in there. I see somebody asking about outsourced staff. So some companies have outsourced staff who are always on the job. But your outsourced staff are worked through agencies. So if you're an outsourced staff, for instance, I'm not dealing with you directly. I'm dealing with your boss, for lack of a better term. I'm dealing with your boss directly who gave you to us. And then I'm working with you guys, and probably you're getting your salary and everything from your boss and how you arrange all of that. But it's a bit different when I'm borrowing you directly, because I'm using your talent directly on what I need. I'm giving you all you need. Sometimes you're freelancers, you borrow freelancers as well. You have freelance contracts, and then we give you for a time frame, and then you go. So yes, you could put outsourcing under borrowing. You could put your ETWs, your agencies, your freelancers, but typically that's how we think of them. We just think of them as borrowed talent for a short period of time.
Okay, got it. Thank you for clarifying that. I'm also going to popcorn this question to Riemann. I mean, it's the same question for you. Like, what are the challenges you faced like so far with recruiting your talent, your tech talent, and how have you mitigated against these challenges?
Again, thank you, Essien, for setting the pace. Again, a lot of things that he said were extremely valid. First of all, there is the lack of the talents available to us today. And put into light that the talent market there's a war for talent out there, trust me. And it's become more stringent today because we're not just fighting within ourselves internally now in a geographical space. We're not just fighting for talent within companies in Nigeria. We're not just fighting for talent within, top companies, here in Lagos or in Nigeria generally. We're competing with global brands. We're competing with international companies. We're competing with companies that have, for most companies here in Nigeria, especially in the fintech space, we have an idea and we're pushing that idea to the peak. But we're dealing with companies who have already reached that peak and who have already been successful. And these companies are tapping into our resource. So the battle is not between, Jumia and Konga anymore. It's between Jumia, Konga, and then there's an Amazon playing in there, so it's quite tough. And if you look at it, the strength and the companies who are already established and looking for our talent is the competition they have the advantage in that competition. So how do you now keep these people here today? I think it's a thing of lack of talent, but lack of talent, not just because they're hard to find, but the few good ones you're in competition with them with global brands. Also, those that you can now find that are able or that are available, or rather that have not yet moved over, it's now a thing of how competent are they in the skill sets, what's the skill sets that they have, how competent are they. It's okay that global talents are tapping from our pool, but it's not okay for us to now still settle for mediocre talent. I know a lot of people say that in the next few years, the tech space is just going to be overflooded with a lot of people. And so to drive that costing back down, like in terms of the cost for tech talent, I don't believe so, because as much as everyone keeps coming into the tech space, everyone wants to be a developer some way right now. But then again, not everyone has the competency to be a proper developer. There are a lot of developers out there, but if you pass them through a simple test, they really can't pull through as it is. So it's now a thing of the ones that you can find. How do you find the people who are competent, and what strategies do you have? Over the course of my career, there's something I always say: the best engineer, and it was something that Wale also mentioned in the call. The best engineer knows the best engineer. So the best engineer that you have access to currently knows the best engineer that is closest to his competency level. Over the course of my years, referral has been the most successful strategy that I've used in closing out my successful hires. Again, it's okay to, if you put a job ad, people are, I mean, Nigeria, people are looking for jobs, so people will apply. But then again, how many of them are going to be successful? How many of them are competent enough if you put them through the whole recruitment process? Referral is a strong strategy for successful hires, for quality successful hires. So it's now for you to enrich your referral pool. How do you want to enrich your referral pool? First, start with the best engineers you know. Start internally within your team. Again, it's not everybody referral that you must take seriously, but the people who you know that are good at their job, you know, they always know the people who are as good as them, you know, or even better. So strengthen that pool, and that pool can be done through policies or through constant reiteration within the system, and reward as well. And that could also be influenced in the policy. So reward your staff that bring you quality hires, and it could be a policy so it doesn't seem like you're picking and choosing who to reward. There's a standard policy on ground to say, look, engineers who bring the best developers or whatnot, or best staff or referrals that are successful through the hires, you have X amounts as rewards, or however you want to apportion the reward is left to you. Also, partnering with developer communities or niche communities for those specific roles that you're looking out for is also very important. In Nigeria today, there are GDG group, Google developer groups, for as an example, in almost every single state in Nigeria today. There are communities that house these people. So outside of recruiters or talent acquisition experts just going straight on for headhunting, you can reach out to these developer groups, because although you, in most of the communities, you may not find very seasoned developers, like someone with 8 years experience and above, you may not find them. But people with about 3 years thereabout, you find them in there because they kind of want to learn from each other. They kind of want to help each other with roles and whatnot. So speak to, like, connect with developer communities or whatever niche. It could be quality assurance. It could be whatever role that you're looking out for. Trust me, there are communities that house these roles. Even recruiters, we have our own communities here in Lagos as it is today. So for whatever niche role you're looking out for, try to reach out to the niche communities and create a relationship with them, such that when there are roles available, you can be able to offer these roles within those communities. And with the idea that, look, people who are successful with this in these communities are usually, you know, quality hires. You can get referrals from those pool again. Another way to go about it is a headhunting, but everyone headhunts today, so I won't speak much on that. Another way to go is poaching. You know, so for me, when I start to look for a role, there are certain roles that I look out for, and I know where to go and look out for from. For instance, for instance, if I'm looking for iOS developers, my top of the list, top 3 places that I'll go to is Decagon, because I know that they're good with, you know, iOS training. I mean, so far in the market, and people that have gone through that system, you know, they're one of the companies that I know that, you know, in terms of iOS, they know what they're doing, so to say. So that you set out for map communities, or look out for companies who are in the same industry as yourself and are using your same tech stack. So it's not enough to just go to any company and to poach from that company. You kind of have to understand what are their tech stacks. So for instance, now, Vendees, I mean, I looked them up while I was on the call, and I can see some of their tech stacks there, you know, Node.js, JavaScript, and whatnot, Celeron for the QA guys, Appium, and whatnot. So if I'm looking for people with those particular skill sets, because when you recruit, you recruit based on the competencies and the skill sets. So if you're looking for people with those particular skill sets, you can now be looking for a company that their product is mainly housed on maybe Ruby, for instance, or Ruby programming language. You can't be going to recruit from such companies. It's, you know, it's not the product that they have is not built on the language that is useful to your company. So that's another way to look at it. Always know your tech stack and know what companies to poach out from, and be sure that you do your research to know what the tech stack for, you know, those different companies are. It's not enough for you to want to recruit from a big company, but then again, do their tech stack also apply with you? Yeah. So those are the different ways I think that, you know, the issue is, you know, lack of talent. I wouldn't stress so much on remuneration, but it's just lack of quality people first off. And those are the different strategies that I would use or I use in trying to get them.
Okay. So I'm going to come back to you on something you talked about partnerships, but let me come back to you on that. My next question will be for the experts, like the growth experts. Yeah, and of course that would be for Tunde. Tunde, my question is, like, as traditional companies like the FMCG, banks, and whatnot, as they go through their digital transformation journey, like what would you consider as an approach they need to explore to meet the like technical skills demand?
Hi, thank you so much, Adeshola. So can you guys hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, that's good. So, for me, basically, the good thing is, I remember I used to work in, I won't mention the name of the organization, right? In a very big organization, not a startup, right? Actually, a bank. And one of the issue we had was there were a lot of rigidity in the old system, which a lot of people, that works with FMCGs and co, the big FMCGs and co, what some of the issues that they face, because I've had to interact with quite a number of them. And then you realize that there's a whole lot of rigidity in the system, not because of the fact that, the internal staffs are not productive, but because there's just a whole lot of bureaucracy and all of that. And what I usually encourage that I've seen, right, in some organizations that are very fast forward thinking, is the fact that there is, from the onset, from the get-go, there is a proper enterprise agile framework that try to ensure that try to bring in innovation right in the company and ensure full participation. Because one thing you see is it's easier for you to be in an organization. The old digital transformation cycle encouraged that there is a lot of what's the word now? There's a lot of flexibility in the system, right? You can quickly change things. And one very huge characteristics of innovation or digital transformation is the ability to quickly move and change with the times. Right? And so you can't afford to say you want to build a proper digital transformation framework in your organization without putting in this very important features around the whole thing. The ability to change, the ability to quickly innovate, right? The ability to also quickly respond to issue resolution and all of those things. So one thing that I try to push is ensure that each of the departments are micro units on its own that can actually act and solve issues without necessarily going through the whole bureaucratic solution. And that's the whole bureaucratic process. And that's one of the things I think I've read and I've learned from Google, where every unit, right, as a product, every unit is run like a company. Do you get? So there are small micro units that if you get in, right, they run it as if it's a product on its own. And I think even some ministry organizations are also beginning to do that. If you interact with CBN a whole lot, for example, you will see that the agency in charge of agency banking, it's a unit, but it literally work like a company on its own, right? And it's just because they want to be able to adapt to the current changes that is happening, right? The agency in charge of microfinance bank, it's a unit, but it acts like a company on its own. Do you understand? So I think that we need to, for organizations like FMCGs and co, who are big enough and they have all the whole financial war chest, and they want to migrate into developing proper digital transformation process around their business model, is to also know that before digital transformation, then we need a proper change management that calls for excellent agile framework that allows each micro unit to be able to work as fast as possible. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing, Cindy. I like that you mentioned proper change management and adopting like agile frameworks and whatnot, because they tend to typically have this like closed mindset that this is how things are supposed to run. They're not open to running sprints and whatnot. Thank you for sharing that. That's very pivotal in all of this. All right, my next question will be for Oyewale. And I'm asking this question because when we started this call, you talked about what you do at your company and how you have your talents, they are happy. And Riemann, for lack of a better word, Riemann also mentioned that he looked your company up and all of those. So that begs me to ask this question. What aspect of the employee life cycle do you think and take into consideration when creating your talent retention plan? You're muted. We can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry. So I'll say that there is no one size fits all approach to talent retention. The long and short of it is that your talent retention plan has to be people-centric. You have to, it's understandable that you want to grow a company, you want to increase your bottom line, but the truth is, life depends on what you do, and every decision matters, especially when it involves people. So, with that in mind, you have to really develop a strategy that really fits into what will make life easy for people. Nigeria is already a difficult country, as we all know. So as an employer of labor, what you really need to do is to make sure that you do your own bit to make things very comfortable for talents that work with you. For us, we have created a flexible work environment for everyone. COVID-19 made a lot of companies, including ours, to leapfrog some of the things that we thought would not be possible in some years. I'm talking about remote work or hybrid work. So we have fully adopted that as a company, not just because we are a tech startup, but because that is just the reality today. And depending on the demand of your job, you get to work hybrid or full remote, and we ensure that the compensation and benefits are matched with your specific job role and what it also demands. We have people we call foragers. They go to the market to source for products, and they tend to work, their own work tend to be different from the kind of work that the people at the back office do. So you can imagine the level or the level of flexibility that you have to put in place for those kind of people. We also have, also based on our trajectory, there was a time we're just a company trying to figure things out. So as you grow, and we are at a growth stage now, and with that, we are reinventing and reimagining our talent retention plan, in terms of compensation, in terms of how we train and we get our staff to be upskilled, because you are going into a terrain where governance, risk, compliance are very germane to your day-to-day operations. So you also have board oversight. So you have to do things, in a different way. So we train, part of it is to train our staff to ensure that there is a clear-cut career plan. So when the employees, when the staff, they know that, there is a clear-cut career plan, there is a growth plan for them, they tend to stay. There was a time that, Paystack and the likes were trending on Twitter in terms of the fact that you can hardly poach employees from Paystack, for instance, because there's just something they are doing right. And everybody ultimately wants to be that company where people will say, oh, it's a happy place to work. So we are being deliberate about that as a company. We are also ensured that our incentives include health insurance, which is very critical to the kind of operation we run as a company. So, and another thing is we greatly consider nurturing employee talent and skills. And for instance, also some of the people, I like the fact that some of us have touched on how we develop talent. So those talent that we develop, we also create a clear-cut plan for their growth as well. So for instance, we have talent, we have people that started working with us right from when they were undergraduate. So and they are still within our workforce till today. And they are growing, even though they are still in school. Some you bring them from internship, and you are able to grow them as well. And essentially, we are very open based on our culture as a company. We are very open to ideas and new ideas, and the staff, they know that we are listening. They have listening leaders, and some of these things have really ensured that we have great talent retention plan, so to speak. Thank you.
Okay, great. So thank you for sharing that. So that just sounds to me like you treat your employees like they are also your clients, pretty much. Like, so
right.
You are solving their problems. Like, okay, so you have a plan for them, growth-wise. Like, how do you pivot from where you are currently to where you want to be in the next 5 years and what is very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. My next question will be for Etienne, and you started to talk about building this talent, like having them learn from the scratch, which is part of the major focus for this session. So do you think that collaboration with like EdTech institutions is pivotal in ensuring that we have access to quality talent? And do you think, you've had to deal with numerous businesses and whatnot, do you think they are ready to explore what this collaboration could be like?
Yeah, your first question, it's pretty straightforward. Yes, collaboration with education technologies, organizations, or any resource out there that helps us, it's wonderful. It's something that we would always do. And even sometimes we go ahead to initiate these strategies with some of them that we reach out to by ourselves. We actually source some of them, and then we go to schools as well, to universities, and we initiate some maybe programs or internships or workshops that would bring in the kind of talent we need. Because sometimes one thing we also see from traditional universities is that sometimes they're not necessarily preparing the student for the kind of job that they're going to be doing that we want them to do. So I've worked in companies in the past where we go and initiate. I worked for instance, in the past, I worked in a geotechnology company, right? We were creating maps, and we didn't have engineers, for instance, it was difficult to get engineers who had geology and geography and all those kind of things ingrained into their own mindset and how they do things. And so we had to initiate some course with universities just to build that pipeline. So education technology at every level and with different institutions will always work very well. We always encourage that. However, the next question everybody will ask is at what costs? And that's always the big elephant in the room. Nobody was willing to talk about when you want to talk with your bosses, and what will be the cost and what will be the reward at the end, because a lot of times in building talents, if you're not patient and if you don't have strategies, you might not necessarily see the benefits in the short term. It's always a long-term kind of a thing over time, and when you have that steady stream. But I think one thing we've seen from past experience is that if you have a reputation for building also, you become attractive. So, and that's something people always tend to forget as well, because we're always thinking of what's the cost, and why should we do this with educational technologies or companies or institutions? What would be our bottom line if we invest this much in building talent that we don't know? say somebody from somewhere can come and poach them, for instance. But what we've seen is that if you have a steady way of building this talent, especially to maybe mid-level, junior levels, mid-level, and all of that, and you're also upskilling your current talents, like Wale talked about beautifully well, like within your upskilling as well. In the markets, talents will begin to get attracted to you. They will know who you are. And this is the thing, like the man talked about previously, like you're competing with companies globally. Everybody knows everybody right now. Everybody knows what's happening in your company. If you think that the wrong decision you guys made, nobody knows. If somebody knows, everybody really knows what is going on. So at some point, even as a company, we begin to look at talents more like clients and customers. And talents also look at us as, hey, I know what I want. I know what I'm worth. I know what's happening in the market. So as you build, as you do all of these things, you want to attract them. And if you're doing something right in your strategies for retention, for building, for learning, for development, then there's going to be a reward in the market there. So talent will also be approaching you, and not just any kind of talent as well, quality talents. And even when you go out there to approach quality talent, they hardly will turn you down because they know you are doing something right. So for me, it's like, yes, you have to keep collaborating. Education and learning is part of, it's ingrained in technology. What you think is viable today, you wake up tomorrow, it's gone to totally. There was a time we're always looking for Java developers. Right now, for some roles, it's like Kotlin. You don't want Java anymore. It's like Kotlin. In fact, you meet some Java engineers that are like, why are you guys using Kotlin in your systems? So things change in this space so fast. So you need to keep learning. You need to keep developing. And so we have to collaborate with whatever resource we have out there. And the biggest question is always at what cost? But like I said earlier, if you have strategies for all of these things over time, you become attractive, and then talent will be able to recognize and know that, hey, this company is doing something good, and I think I'll go there to build and to learn and to develop. So yeah, that's how I'll approach it based on our experience in the past.
Okay, right. Thank you for sharing. Building, like there's something important, like there's just something about building, and like you said, it's like everybody knows everybody. Like this folks, this tech talent, they know what is obtainable out there. They know their value. Yeah. So if you're bringing some sort of watered down value to them, and they're thinking, oh, so in the long run, I'm just being used. I don't get to develop myself and whatnot. So yeah, there's that as well. I'm going to have Enoch come on board to speak from the ed tech angle. I mean, Enoch has had to deal with some of these companies who do not want to invest in building their talent, who just want to just have us popcorn like a pipeline of this talent to them. And we've also we've had to have these conversations with these guys to let them know, okay, so this is like the importance of helping these guys, like building them from the scratch and then pivoting. So I'm just going to have Enoch say something on that. Enoch, would you have me repeat the question?
Hey, thank you, Adeshola. Also, again, it's a pleasure to have to speak with all of us on the call, especially our panelists. This conversation is one that is very dear to the heart of Utiva. When we wake, and then we sleep, we're thinking this problem is on the table now. Why does it look like we're the only ones who are seeing what the potential way forward could be? Where we're talking about the possibility of continuously building a pipeline, a system, first of all, that moves, say, mid-level competent talent to senior level, and doing it in a very sustainable way that wouldn't need to have so much moving hands from the partnering organizations, where what happens is walk through an incubating system, for instance, where they are able to get familiar with the problems that you solve, and their learning process is tailored to meet your own type of challenges, right? By your own, I mean the organizations. And at any point in time, you can always come around to picking talents when you will need, and it's sort of like a collaboration between organizations and the tech head in institutions to ensure that not only are not only are the talents that are being created familiar with stacks, and the technology that's up to date with technology that are technological skills that are needed to build new products or even work in the systems. All right, the being familiar with the soft skill sets and leadership skill sets that they need to work with other staff, but they are also very familiar with the real-time challenges that you have because they've worked with your business cases while they were incubating their talents, and I mean, it makes sense. It only makes sense if there is a collaborative system, all right, where we have many organizations agree to this approach. However, what we see is that individual organizations would want to do their own thing, and sometimes we even get approached by organizations who want to do graduate training programs, and sometimes we're wondering, that doesn't solve the problem. You can't come in with a graduate training program and think that because you are able to maybe tie a talent down for a certain period in time, that's where you are able to get the most out of the talent. It really still doesn't solve the problem that you have. It's still a conversation that I would definitely continue to have. It's one of the reasons why we have this network. We're hoping that, just like SN said, I mean, I like one point that SN said, it makes you look good, it makes you look sexy. There is so much that happens when you take unorthodox, approaches to solving a problem, or you take frontier approaches to solving a problem that gives you an edge, in this space. And we do hope that hopefully as time goes on, as we continue to have more conversations around how we're able to solve this problem, in this talent problem, we'll have frontier organizations who would like to explore the possibilities of building pools of talents, as against, say, periodically going through recruitment cycles to acquire talents.
All right, great. Thank you for sharing, Enoch. I mean, I am aware that this conversation go on in our space, so I wanted him to shed more light on that. My next question will be for Raymond, and I told you I was going to come back to you on something you said earlier with regards to partnerships. So in recent times, what has been the quickest way for you to get talent? Is it this partnership? Do you outsource to freelancers? Do you outsource to external recruiters? Do you partner with external recruiters, or do you recruit yourself? So which has been the quickest way? And it is that they all have their intricacies. Which poses as the best for you?
So the quickest, so we don't outsource our roles here at TOSCON. We don't. I'm not saying we haven't in the past, but I mean, but generally we don't. We put the opportunities online, but nonetheless, I would say that the quickest ways have been through referrals, and that referrals is a sort of partnerships. So referrals internally and also referrals with communities, and to a large extent too, no formal relationship, but then again, partnerships in terms of, there are certain edutech companies that we will reach out to for some certain type of roles. So that's a sort of partnership that we've already formed internally within, although there is no formal handshake between, both parties. So it's always been referrals, and the referrals can come in any ways, either from the edutech companies who are training them, or from the communities that house these different talents. So, but referrals are definitely a win-win. Also, to shed light on something that was just mentioned by Itayo. You see, a lot of companies do the graduate trainee program, and it's nice. It's a good look. It's more of if you ask me, I think majority of it is more of a PR thing than an actual, value rendition. So if you look at it, if you look at the time, the resources that you put into running an adequate graduate training program is very intense, and it's to put your brand and your brand name and your products in the minds of these youngsters. But nonetheless, in terms of quality hire, you're taking on the responsibility to bring them in and then start to train them. Not a lot of companies can survive on that model. There are some companies that have the budget and that can survive absolutely on that model, but not a lot of companies can. And I'll speak of something that I've done recently. Something that we've done recently is to look out for the past 2 years and say, look, what are the universities that majority of our successful hires have come up from? And as opposed to going through all the different schools and running a graduate trainee in all the different schools in Nigeria that we have, we focused on just 3 schools, and with the idea not to run a full-fledged, graduate training program, but we are saying, look, for those 3 schools, there are specific students that there are specific number from specific departments that we want to say, look, once we're done, we would sponsor your training, with a certain, training facility where you can train and hone your skills well enough before you come into the system, rather than just bring them into the system and then have someone who's supposed to spend their time working and delivering results to training them. So we're outsourcing that bit of the graduate training program to training facilities that are credible enough to be able to run that course and just deliver them to us. And in that way, you still have a recurring pool whenever there is a need.
Okay. I think that makes a whole lot of sense. That brings clarity. I just want to be certain. Can we all hear me?
Yes,
we can.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I wanted to be certain. All right, yeah, so like I was saying, that brings like a lot of clarity to what we were discussing with regards to how like approaches to recruiting tech talent, referrals, and then the graduate trainee programs and whatnot. All right, so in the next like 2 minutes, we're going to have this open to the house to ask questions. But I have one last question for Tunde with regards to like growth and whatnot. Like, how sustainable is it to scout for international tech talents with regards to remote working? And like, how has this been for you, like in the growth sector? How does it affect their growth mindset and whatnot? Mic check, Tunde on the call. Is it just me? I can't hear Tunde.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now.
Yes, now we can.
Hello?
Now we can.
Okay, sorry, please, can you repeat the question, please?
Oh yeah, so I was talking about how sustainable it is to scout for international tech talent with regards to remote working. And then from the growth angle, like how do these guys keep up with that mindset, the growth mindset, despite working remotely?
Okay, yeah. So for us as an organization, I think it's pretty easy because we're not that much. So we don't even want to, you can't even be working and we won't feel your presence. Right. So even if you are, for example, I'm working out of Benin Republic at the moment, right? And I've had several meetings, and I could have staff anywhere. So for me at the moment, the thing is this, right? We really cannot change the whole remote working thing, right? That is beginning to come in post-COVID. We really can't change it. I mean, it's here, and we need to find a way to solve we need to find a way around it. As much as a lot of employers are not happy about it, because I mean, I've had conversation, and even if globally you begin to see some organizations say, hey, yeah, guys, it's time for you guys to resume back to the office. Yeah, we know you are in different part of the world and all of that. But the reality is, it's in the first place, it's even very hard to see local talents, right? So, of course, I mean, it might not be the same thing in Nigeria, but for some other companies, say in Tanzania, or say in maybe in Burundi or thereabout, or in Benin Republic where I am, where possibly there are no enough tech talents, they will definitely want to look into maybe Nigeria, right? Where there are a lot of booming young people who are going to, development, software development, and a whole lot of that. And so there will be that constant um, um, constant organization trying to reach out to us, right? Trying to reach out to where we have that pool of talent and see how they can get them to work for them. So the thing is, right, we can't do without remote working, right? And so we just need to find a way around it, which is basically trying to build a system that allows trying to build a proper organization system that allows every member of your team to be effective. Of course, there are different methods that we use to do that, right? You must sign in on Slack at every point in time, right? Ensure that every project is more project-based. So there's something you need to do. How do we achieve this particular thing, right? There's constant check-in, one-on-one feedback, and a whole lot of that. And also, you don't own your staff, right? You don't expect them to the way we used to pre-COVID, where it must be 9 to 5. Now we are no longer doing the 9 to 5 thing. We just say, just do what you need to do. In as much as you have a project, achieve this particular thing, and let's move on to the next thing, right? Based on this particular time frame. That time frame could be okay. In 2-3 days we want to achieve this particular thing, and everybody needs to do it. And so your 9 to 5 at times could even be 24 hours at times, right? Where you are. And that's one of the things that we look out for when we're doing recruitment. People that has ownership mindset, right? Which is very, very key. That can, embody my organization, carry this thing and take it as, this is it. We want to achieve this. They are bought into the vision of the company and they want to go all out. And so for us, that is our own kind of strategy, right? In managing remote workers, basically, where you can't come into the organization and you're not doing anything. There is a task for you. In fact, we don't even have enough hands to do it because we're a startup, right? And we're still very, very young. So once you come in, you have work to do. And so that's like the best way for us to just manage the whole process. Of course, another thing I really would like to also touch on is, yes, we're bringing an engineer, and this engineer is working with us. He has a full-time with us, and he's also maybe talking to another organization or maybe working for another organization, say in the UK or in the US as a remote worker. And we had that issue several times. And the reality is we still can't change that fact, right? Because they will keep doing this. We'll have this. As much as, yes, we have contract with this particular person. And so when we're giving contract, we try to also be very flexible. Because if you keep doing that, I don't have the money, I can't pay them the way, say, a Google will pay them. Do you understand? I can't pay a developer the way Google will pay them. So I still have to be very flexible in the way I bring in my staff. So there's just strategy around it. There's just ways around it to manage all of this.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing, Tunde. So I'm also going to talk on that question to Etienne. So from the tech talent recruiter aspect, like how sustainable is it for international tech talent with regards to working?
So I'd look at it this way. It depends on what you term sustainable. What do you mean by sustainable, right? Do you mean always having a healthy pipeline of talent continuously to always pull from, or do you mean retention of the talent? Okay, because retention of the talent is another conversation. You can have access to them all you like, but if a Google is knocking at somebody's door, they might leave, right? So how sustainable is it? I think Tunde rightly said something, is that for instance, remote work is here to stay. It is like, this is a reality. You accept it or you die. You see that you take it or you're out of the market. You're not going to change that. And we already see, I mean, since the pandemic, we had the great resignation or the great reshuffle or whatever you like. So like I said earlier, talents today are becoming more aware of, one, their power, and becoming more aware of their opportunities. So in that sense, if the world is global and talents know what is out there, it means that you can keep, you can always look out, you can always source talents remotely worldwide if you have a good reach. I mean, I've worked in Europe for some time, and I know that one of the challenge of companies that want to do right in Europe in terms of remote working is that they don't go into any market that they don't have a legal entity in. For instance, they don't have any legal framework or partner to work with for remote. So for instance, at the moment, my organization, my company can't hire remote workers from Nigeria simply because we don't have any legal framework there. And it's not because some other companies can't do it, it's just because they don't want to get into trouble, because one, the regulators will come knocking at your door, whether in Nigeria or in Europe, and you have to answer some questions. So it depends on your reach legally. That will depend on your reach legally if you want to do things right by the books. And it also will depend on what infrastructure or what mechanism in place do you have within your organization to be able to not just get this candidate or pipeline or profiles or talents, whatever you call them, not just to get them to your process, but to get them engaged, to hire and to keep them wherever they are. It's a huge task, trust me. And I don't think any company has cracked or has any answers to this right now. We know fully remote, we know hybrid. Most of what we're offering now is hybrid or fully remote or whatever, but we don't know how to still crack that yet, how we're going to manage all of that. But yes, we would continue to recruit and source for talent remotely and worldwide. Like if we have a legal entity, if we have the money, I mean, for past 2 years where I come from, we've been relocating talent, and we've relocated from Nigeria, from South Africa, from India, from anywhere in the world. So those who have the money are going to relocate, especially if you have people who want to move and find something different, who want to travel and work. Those who don't have the money to relocate will always do it remotely. And yes, we'll continue to source as long as we have access legally, and otherwise talent wherever it is in the world, we're going to get you. So it's here to stay. I really feel for smaller companies and startups who don't have resources to splash around to compete in this space. But I think, like Wale talked about earlier, it's not really about the money and something else. There are other things we can do to keep ourselves competitive and to have access to the kind of talent we would like. So yeah, that's how I'd look at it, and that's what we've been doing as well.
Okay. I like the last statement you made about it's not only about money. Very important. Having a growth mindset for them as well is important. And these guys see this thing, like they see through it. Like tech talent see through all of these things. So yeah, it's also important. So even startups can work on this aspect and then build themselves to portray it. So if people feel like, oh, I'm going to go in this company, of course not. Why not? I can always work with a startup and whatnot. So yeah, thank you all for answering all of my questions. This is the point where I open it to the audience. Okay, so I see a question from Enoch. As the traditional companies, this was a question I asked Tunde earlier. What would you say is the best approach to balancing upskilling internal staff with recruiting new tech teams? Oh yeah, did you get that, Etienne?
Yeah, I was just reading through it. So he said, what would you say is the balancing upskilling internal staff with recruiting it? Okay, I understand. I think I get the question. So where do you strike that balance between building new teams and upskilling what you currently have on ground, right? And I think where I am currently, we do have a system in place, right? So no new team starts entirely new. How do I put it? Like new teams start from other teams. They kind of break away from other teams. So if we wanted to start if you wanted to start, say, a new Java team, for instance, just an example, one of the foundation of those teams would be some experienced or middle engineer from another team who would take on more responsibilities, who would own this process and who would own certain things. So we operate where we operate a Spotify model. I don't know if you know about it. It's a tribe-based model, right? So we have tribes and we have chapters and all that. And all of these tribes, I think Raymond talked about, is it Raymond or Tunde earlier, they all work like a company within a company. So in that sense, you will not be starting a new team that's totally that's really everybody's a greenhorn. You won't start a new team with greenhorns, for instance. You will start a new team with a lot of people already in the system who understand what we are doing. You start to start another team, and then you can get in maybe new talents outside who would come and learn from those inside, and there will be that's another team going on. And in the same vein, you're upskilling your current team you have. So how we do that is that we have internal resources for every, it doesn't matter where you are at different levels, we have resources, learning and development for you. So if you're a junior engineer, you're a medium, you're a senior, and within all of this, we have subsets of levels based on our own metrics, and we compare that to the market as well. So we have certain tools and we have certain learning and development and things you have to do, certain milestones you have to go through. So upskilling is always a continuous process. Now, if there's a new technology in town, there's something new, there's something trendy, there's something important that will help the business. Now everybody will be learning that together, right? If those who need it. But generally in the employee life cycle, we have a plan in place to keep upscaling those talents while we break out, the team gets big, it gets interesting, we break that team down again, and we want to get smaller, we break that team down, then we build other teams based on the needs and what we're trying to achieve. So it's something that happens concurrently. It's quite challenging to that, I must say, because while you're doing all of these, talents are always leaving, talents are moving. But one thing I've seen we've done, at least in the past years, that we've really encouraged internal mobility. And that's what has really helped us. And that's something that as a company, we never really did. And that's because managers were very tight on their team. They love their team. They've built the best team. They didn't want to let go. And you have engineers who like, I like what they're doing in the other team. I like to work on this tech stack. I like what is interesting here. So we try to orientate managers and put a system in place such that even if somebody wants to move to another team, they don't lose their goals. They don't miss out on anything. They still meet their targets. And so encouraging internal mobility helps us to keep upskilling, and also helps us to keep building teams as well. So that sometimes people would rather move to another team than move to another company because they're familiar with what you guys are doing, especially if you have a good work culture around you. So it's quite difficult to do, but it's something we always try. We are trying our best always to do.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for sharing. Okay. So I had a question in the chat box from Linus Brown that says, how do you rate engagement of talent to prove or show that your organization is profitable? And this question is for Tunde.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Okay, yes, now we can.
Yeah, so for a fact, so thank you very much for that question. The first thing for me is before you decide that you want to rate engagement of your employee or of your talent, right? You need to first of all determine what the outcome is, right? What are you what is the outcome, right? What are you envisaging? What do you want out of this particular talent? Do you understand? And that will help you. And also, you also need to not just start alone. You also need to understand that, talk to the employees or to the talent, knowing fully well that, to know what is important to them. So those are very, very two key things that will help you in then determining what you want to do. Do you understand? So what happened is that will help with developing a proper breakdown, or more like a driver's analysis of what you what is more important to you as an organization. So for me, I would advise that once you understand what you want your outcome to be, then you can build around that. So you know, okay, for example, I need this particular role, right? And I need them to be able to do this particular thing. So when you're bringing someone into filling that position, you already have your plans. You know what you want to get at this person. You've also developed proper career development plan for that person in terms of, say, you're giving, what are the training that this person needs, career progression plans and all of that. And then once you have that understanding, and then also the goals, right, that you want this person to achieve. So when you bring in that person, you are aligning that person or that role into achieving of the goals that you have set, right? So I think that's like the best way. And also for my organization, that's also what we do. Once we bring you in, you already have a career progression plan. You already have all the learning tools that you need, everything that will help you to achieve your career progression, and also tell you this is what we want to achieve at so time, and we need you to help us do this particular thing. So literally your day-to-day activities in the organization is focused on you achieving that goal that has been set for you from the moment that you join. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Tunde. I hope that answers your question, Linus. So I hope it does. You can just drop a message in the chat box. Niket, we see you. Thank you for being a part of the session. We understand that you have to leave. We will be rounding up in another 10 minutes as well. So yeah, the next question, this question is for Oyewale. And it says, what advice would you give to organizations, most especially in the banking sector, as regards remote work, as some of these organizations have mandated their employees to work from the office instead of embracing remote work?
Well, I would say that the players in the banking sector need to really understand the evolving workplace, and they need to fully embrace it. I mean, some banks are actually also closing down their branches because they are more focused on digital banking. So I don't know why some of them are still trying to insist that, oh, it's a must that and their staff should come to the office. Perhaps there are it's for a job specific reasons. Because there are some roles that you would want either hybrid, because you likely not want a full remote for that job function, which makes sense. But essentially, I mean, we are in a space, in a time and season where we just have to, embrace it. So the traditional banking players, they need to understand that this is a reality. This is our reality currently. And if you really want to retain talent, you have to give them options. And the truth is, some of them, even before giving them, without giving them, they're asking for it. And would you say because of that? And it's also a win-win, to be honest, because I mean, there are challenges, of course, and there are concerns, which we all agreed to a very large extent we haven't really been able to solve. But guess what? What do you do? How do you move forward? How do you create a win-win situation? And perhaps sometimes what it will mean for these banks is to get experts. I mean, when we say experts, not necessarily like people who have actually scaled on this model, be open enough to bring them in and let them consult for you. I mean, companies like Utiva, for instance, so just so that you can learn and they can create a framework for you that you can run with, and over time you can improve on, as far as that is concerned. So it's a no-brainer that everybody ultimately wants this, and everybody ultimately would eventually adopt it. It's just going to be the level of maturity that would also come to play, because ultimately you can't you can't force it. And you know that if you're not careful, if you don't adopt it, and if you don't strategically position yourself to take the benefits of it, you are also going to lose out within the talent acquisition or talent retention space. So that's what I would just say for now. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for sharing. I hope that answers your question, Israel. Finally, the last question will be for Rayman. And this question says, venturing into like specific needs, what skills are increasing in demand, like in demand skills as more startups grow?
So the bulk of the startups that you have today now is different. It's specific to what kind of role you want to play in. But I'll just generally assume that is a developer role. You know, so because
why
it's just
would you assume it's a developer role?
okay. I mean, if
we have product managers, we have product designers, so like tech talent generally.
okay,
actually.
so in general, I'll say it is. So, for instance, majority of the tech startups here in Nigeria that are starting up today are running on JavaScript, not JS. I mean, on the developer end. Again, in product development or product manager roles, majority of the roles, the skill sets that you need are pretty much the same across board. You know, you kind of have to understand the agile methodologies. You have to kind of know the project management tools that you would use to monitor your product in development stage, or as they go through all the different development stages from ideation to once you start to acquire user sign-on. So that's very generic. But in terms of like specific skill sets, I'll say it's specific to the kind of role that, I mean, whoever asked the question, specific to the kind of roles that you want. But majority of the Nigerian companies today are running on, JavaScript, JavaScript, Node.js, the likes of them, AWS for your infrastructure and whatnot. So, however, there are some of them, I know of companies who are branching into blockchain development today, who are focusing on skills like Solidity, or who are focusing on Ruby and these are things that are very scarce in the market today. But then again, if there are people in that line of business on those calls today, I would tell you, I think focus on JavaScript as a basis. Once you know that, you can move to try to study the blockchain. JavaScript too actually would solve for blockchain development, but nonetheless, Solidity is top priority in blockchain development. So try and get yourself in environments where you can learn these skill sets. These skill sets, you become very valuable within the Nigerian market and more valuable outside, outside the Nigerian market, which is where most people want to play sometimes. So yeah, those are the skill sets that are in high demand today. But of all of them, I'll say JavaScript is top notch.
Okay, all right.
The rest of
Thank
them
you.
are pretty much soft skills that could play through all the different roles, and we all know them on this call. But nonetheless, I'm just speaking more to the technical skill sets directly.
And it would be great to also share those soft skills so that we have HR people in this room. We have some technical talent as well. So let's just share it.
Okay, so I would say one of the skills that we look out for, even here at Softcom, when we are the top skill that really wasn't top priority before COVID, but now as we recruit throughout the COVID era, and the work from home era is accountability and ownership. It is very, very important for us, accountability and ownership for every of the roles that we recruit for. I mean, nonetheless, we have our psychometric tests that we run through to test for all of these different skill sets, and we can talk through them through our different sessions. But accountability and ownership is something that should be given top priority, because again, you have people working, like Tunde said, most of the roles are being turned into project-based type roles. So you kind of have to have ownership for that role. You can't just act out as a piece of the puzzle, just doing your little bit. You kind of have to have ownership for that role. You have to be accountable for it. So it's not enough that I'm trying to reach out to Dash or Enoch for their deliverables that I need or input that I need to deliver my work. And my reason for not delivering is, oh, I send them a mail, but they didn't respond, you know, and you leave it at that. You kind of have to go the extra mile. And that's where ownership and accountability goes in. You kind of have to go the extra mile, know when to escalate, such that it doesn't drive. Again, you've done everything that you can on your end to make sure you meet your deliverables, but sometimes in roles that you need input from other individuals, it can be quite very tricky. So you kind of have to be able to push through all those challenges to be able to deliver. So accountability and ownership is what I'll say is top notch.
Very important. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, man. All of these things are very important in managing people and working with people across the board. And I'm glad that you shared with us. All right. So it looks like we don't have any questions anymore. I'm just going to use this opportunity to say thank you to all of our guests, Riman, Tunde, Etienne, Oyewale. Thank you so much for doing this because we do not take it for granted. Right here and then we talked about how to address talent development from the start. How do we retain those guys? How do we ensure that we are giving them like top quality, treating them like our clients as well? Because of course they are our clients. Like they're providing a service, and we're also giving them something. So very important. It's great that you all demystified this. We appreciate you all, like everyone, a single one of you, and also those that are on this call. Before you go, I'm going to have Enoch, our partnership lead, talk about a little about the Utiva learning program. Something very quick, in another 2 minutes, he'll be done, just to know about what we offer at Utiva and how it can help you in your HR journey, or in your talent recruitment journey, to come to Utiva for this and that. So, over to you, do your thing.
First of all, I want to say thank you to our panelists for taking our time to share from your wealth of knowledge and your experience on, say, trends and strategies and tactics that you also explore to solve some of these challenges that we have playing on. And I also want to say thank you to the about 110 unique individuals who joined the call so far. It's a privilege to have you joining these conversations, and we trying to solve pertinent challenges. One of the ways that we try to support businesses, and not just even businesses, as far as government and non-for-profit organizations, basically any organization who is really looking to create value, whether it's upskilling or they want a partner to acquire to solve a talent issue. We like to invest in the process of providing what we call the business masterclass, sometimes to introduce technical concepts to your team, especially for those who are in just like traditional organizations. And for the ground is almost cut out for those in startups. You just go straight to, what you're looking for. You just want to recruit talents. But sometimes there are organizations who would typically want to, say for instance, are exploring tools and want to drive want to have more of an insights-driven team, right? The team, say from HR to operations to sales, marketing, and you would want the team to drive its operations and activities with analytically. Utiva could come in to facilitate a session like analytics for business growth, for instance, and play in your industry and help set the charge. And we do this. We have done this so far. We've been doing this for about 6-7 months now. It's been a very interesting journey. The goal is very simple. We understand that we know that if we're able to help as many people, as many organizations identify maybe talent gaps that they may have internally, it is easier for you to move towards technology adoption and also understanding how exactly you want to approach talent management and talent development. So see us as your partner. Whatever you're thinking around talent, you can always reach out to, you're definitely in our pipeline, so you can always reply any of the mails that we have or reach out to me. My email will be available, anyone on the Utiva team, to discuss whatever you want to have, whatever conversations you want to have. And then from time to time also we would also reach out with opportunities that we have created so far. And okay, yes, thank you for putting that up. So for the next 1 month, we'll be reaching out with different assessments that could work with your team. If you don't have any structured out different programs, you could also target that you can also rather offer to the team, whatever structure basically. But I'll leave it here. You will just be looking out to talking after the session. Thank you so much again to the panelists for honoring our invites, and thank you also to those in the audience who have shared your time with us.
Fantastic. Thank you, Enoch. Thank you for putting us through that. And like Enoch has already said, to everyone and single person on this call, we say thank you for being a part of this, for sparing your in-between work time to get on the session. And like Ataya said earlier, we are going to be sharing the link to this video, like the link to the recording on our social media platforms. So you can just look out for it to share with your community and whatnot. Once again, thank you for joining the session. Rayman, Etienne, Oyewale, and Tunde, thank you for doing this with us. Thank you for being a part of this. Cheers.
Just let me know. say now your cruise I like. Show me that you're miracle tonight. Take me higher, you wanna feel alright. If I don't want to, give me go say you be bothered. And I don't want to be bothered. But I want to be shiny. If I don't want to, baby go say you be bothered. Me, I don't want to be bothered. But I want to be shiny. One day you see the man. Say what? I roll out my say. Did you ever find like this? Say. Suppose they with me. I say one day.
We don't play here tonight.
I'm all alive. The point got to my head, say make I deny you. I go tell them, say lie. Don't be like, I feel spend all of my money on you. Spend a couple million on you. Give you love until you say don't do. Special type of feeling that I feel when I'm with you. Oh, the mommy, anytime when I do with you. I want your heart and soul and your own body too. I can't let you go. I'm beginning to fall.
What you say?
That way you did, they make me day happy. I'm falling for you long time, yeah.
Yes. Alternate sounds, DJ Biggin. It's almost a vibe. You already know what time it is. Well, you're bigger, man. Alternate sounds, what time it is? Alternate sound, what time is it? Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to be entertained. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, go. Rock with me. You already know where you're bigger,
Thank you.